Welcome to today's Klaviyo tutorial. We're going to jump in how to build your dynamic abandoned cart email. Now, I'm going to do this in two ways. One is a more simplified and singular way to see what is left in someone's cart and present that in an email. And then I'm going to go the more classic way, which is presenting everything that was left in their cart. So let's go ahead and dive in. Right here, I have a sequence here that we built out for a client. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in to this first email here. The big thing before we jump in is making sure your trigger is correct here. So checkout started if it's Shopify. I think it's also checkout started for BigCommerce. So make sure you have the correct trigger here, because this is what is going to feed all the data into our actual email. You could also have added to cart as an event. It's going to be slightly different. The events are going to be different, but the steps that are to follow are pretty much exactly the same. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual email. So in this particular design, we have a section dedicated more toward the bottom on what was left in their cart. So you can see here we have the your cart section, complete checkout, but so far nothing here except for some two spacers. So the first thing we want to check is, do we have the data to work from? So if you're just getting started, you just had your Shopify store built out, and now you want to make sure the connection is working, you're seeing data come over. Over in the top right, you're going to have this preview and test button. We're going to click that. And in here, we're able to see our events. So here we happen to have Donna, who has been abandoning a really just one product here, Superhuman. And we have a lot of data here that we can work from. So we can see like checkout URLs, responsive checkout URL, webhook topic, ID, all these things. We're going to focus in on some key pieces here. So don't let it overwhelm you. Back into our email, we're actually going to go ahead and drop out our blocks. So the first way I'm going to show you is a more simplified and cleaner way. I've been building a lot of my abandoned carts this way with one singular item. If you have a brand where showing their entire cart makes more sense, you can go that route, which I'll show that one in the second half of the video. This is a more cleaner approach. It kind of simplifies everything and it showcases basically the first item that's in their cart instead of the entire list of items. So we're going to go ahead and drop in an image block here. I'm going to do a little bit of formatting just because of the presentation that it'll have. And then also I'm going to go ahead and drop in a text block because we're going to do the title of the abandoned cart product here. Now let's head back into our preview and test. So when we're scrolling through our data here, we should have a section that breaks out our line items information. So you can see we have item 0 because data comes over starting with 0. So the first item in their cart is going to be item 0. So in this one in particular, we have Superhuman. So let's keep scrolling until we start to see source. So it says here, images for product 0, source, thumb source. This is our image that we want to put into the abandoned cart block. So you're going to click this. It's going to automatically copy this long string of text here. We're going to go back into our image block, select image, and then we're going to do dynamic image and just paste that in and save. Then back into preview and test, you'll start to see that we're already starting to see our product appear. And we're going to go and search for our title here. So we have title, click that. We're going to come in here and paste. I'm just going to apply a little bit of formatting here. Let's see, and go back into preview. So we're looking giant here with our formatting, but right away, you can see that this is the much simpler way to do your abandoned cart. You don't have to worry about trimming out variables or editing a table. It's a lot simpler. It just shows the first item in their cart, complete your checkout. Some brands may argue it's better to show the full cart. I find the same exact interaction with using just the first item in their cart. So I really don't see it weighed either way. So I prefer to go the more simplified route. So it's not, as messy in the inbox. But let's go ahead and mess with some of the formatting. So this is where you can come in. Let's go ahead and tweak this a bit smaller. Let's do 450. And maybe we want to put a little bit of an image border here that's on brand. We'll do 5. And then here, I'm just going to apply a little bit more padding. And then we are missing our URL. So let's go back into preview. We can see what that looks like. So we have Superhuman here. We'll probably increase that text size, but let's head over and find our URL. So it says checkout URL here up at the top in our extra section. We're going to copy that. and put that in for your link address, and our complete checkout is already there. So they have that responsive checkout URL or the regular URL, either one is fine. And then for our title here, I'm actually just going to copy this, and this will be the alt text on our image as well, and make sure that applies. So let's go ahead and preview one more time. So superhuman, I can see, copy, paste that there. There we go. Let's go into preview, and hovering over this, I can see that we're starting to get some checkout URLs appearing at the bottom, which is what we want. And then just for our title here, because I can tell it's just kind of looking so tiny, I'm just going to bump this up to 20 and see what that looks like. All right, we could probably mess with some of the formatting a little bit more, but in general, we have our product block here. And this is going to be, like I said, the easiest way to go ahead and get your abandoned cart spun up. Just show product 0 in their cart. Let's see if I can find an example of one where they have multiple. All right, so in this particular case, we have 3 items: Shroom Bloom, Bright Mind, Daily Defense. But it's automatically just showing Shroom Bloom here. So this is kind of the more simplified version. You just have that first product that's in their cart presented, but they can click complete checkout, head back. All right, let me go ahead and show you the second way to do this. So this is going to be your more classic route of building your abandoned cart series, and that's going to be through a table. So we're going to drop our table node right here, and then I'm going to lead with the image block on the left, text on the right. And we're going to follow similar steps. We're going to go back into our preview, and let's go ahead and grab our source image first. I like to always start with this one. It just is kind of easier for me. And then we're going to go over into styles here and click dynamic. So we're going to be telling this, hey, this is dynamic. You're going to look through the data, show everything that appears. So we're going to say it's dynamic. And then you're going to say this section here on row collection and row alias. So they've made this a little bit easier to understand here, but basically we're going to come in and paste in our image source as like an example that we can tweak down. So pasting that in looks crazy, but what we're going to do is remove all of this, everything after items here, like so, and remove the bracket. And then you're going to take items, paste it down below, and turn that into item. Now, if your data looks different than this, it's literally the same exact steps, except for your title here might be slightly different. Sometimes it's products and turned into product. I've only seen, I think, product and items are kind of the most common too. So if you're having trouble with this and you're like, well, what does this need to be? Usually it's going to look like this. So underscore items and then item. Okay, we're going to go back to content because it changed what I did. We're going to move that to image and that to text. And then back into our select image here, we're going to go to dynamic image. And remember, we copied the image source. Oops, I got to go copy it again. So we'll go back and grab our image source. Either one, doesn't matter, because we're going to strip it of any of its like identifiers for product 0 through any of them. So we're going to paste that in. Now we need to do some trimming on this. So what we're going to do is remove this piece. So the event extra line underscore deleted. Then instead of items, you're going to turn it into item. And then you need to remove the item number here, which is going to be product 0, because we want to look at all products. And this is saying only look at product 0. So we're going to delete and delete. So what we're left with is the identifier here, item, product image. You can leave this as 0. This is just saying showcase the first image from Shopify, which if you don't like your first image for all products, you could change this to 1 and see what that looks like too. And that's it. For default, this is where you can always do a fallback if you have like, image not available, or maybe a like full collection image. This usually you don't have to do because most of your products should have images on site. Okay, now let's go into preview, and you can see it's already starting to duplicate here with our example contact. So let's go ahead and head into the product title here. We're going to copy that. And then here in our text, we're going to paste it in. Same thing. Remove event extra line underscore. Remove items to item. And remove the product counter, which was the 0 there. And then we're going to make this 21. That might be too big. Make it bold. Then we'll make it our sunny within green. And then for formatting, I personally like to go into styles here and just make everything center aligned. It just looks better to me. And back to our content too. I just want to make sure this is center. Okay. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, Shroom Bloom, Bright Mind, Daily Defense. Great. We are looking good. Now we can really kind of customize this any way we like. So if you have other fields like pulling in cost or quantity or a short description, you can add that in the same exact way. I'm just going to show you this last step here where we're customizing the checkout URL because that is pretty important, which amazingly, you don't have to customize. That's the trick to it. So because this is a URL that does not change per product, do not worry about customizing this link. You can just go ahead and pop it in. And then that way, when somebody clicks it, it just always takes them to their cart. So that's one that doesn't change regardless. If you do want the item product title to go to the product URL, you'll head back into your line item. And typically you'll have a URL. It depends on the structure of your Shopify store, but the fallback here is going to be the product handle here. So I'm going to grab that. This gets a bit more complicated, but if you want this to go to the individual product, this is how you'll achieve it. So say you have the product title here, we're going to hyperlink. We have this big string here. We're going to do the same exact steps, remove event extra line underscore, remove the 0 and remove the S. But we need to add in the actual like product section before that. So real quick, let me hop over to Sunny Within. So your store may be different, but a lot of Shopify stores are set up this way where, let me paste this in, you have your URL /products/ and then the item handle. So we're gonna go ahead and click apply and let's give that a test to make sure it worked. So we'll do preview and then we have Shroom Bloom here. Of course, it didn't save for me. So we'll put that back in, apply. Don't forget the H in HTTPS. So that's why my link wasn't working. So we'll close that, preview. And then hovering over this, I can see it's changing. So you can see it says Sunny Within product /Brightmind /Shroom Bloom. I'm just clicking this in my other tab real quick and it opened it up. So if you did want this to go to the individual product, that is how you could do it, where you have the product handle added at the end of your typical URL structure for your site. And then just for an extra little thing here, let's head over into our SMS. We have our product URL. I have a fallback here of just heading to the website just in case. But we want to go ahead and pop in an image as well. So what I typically do with this one, of course, we don't want to show a whole table of images. That wouldn't even work, right? So we just want to show the first image in their cart. So back to our original steps, I have our event extra line items, 0 product image, save. So here we are. So we can see in our text now, we're going to send them an image of what they left behind, reminding them of their code and their URL. All right, I hope that was a helpful tutorial on how to customize and build your abandoned cart area in Klaviyo. If there's a tutorial you guys want to see, let me know. But until next time, I'll see you in the inbox. Bye.